The ladybird, or ladybug if you are so inclined, is a tiny, adorable insect often found nestling in people's gardens chomping on aphids. A rare exception to this was in 1976 when a ravenous 20 billion strong horde of the insect descended on Britain, absolutely dead set on shitting up everybody's summer. So Lucas, discuss.
That sounds terrifying.
Yeah, just when you describe something as a 20 billion strong horde, that's a pretty terrifying and impactful image. Picturing numbers that large is very difficult for most, if not all, people. I think a great example of that was during those discussions, should we tax billionaires? The answer to which is yes, of course. They're billionaires, they can fucking afford it. Do you ever see that breakdown someone did of here's £1,000? Yeah, here's £1,000 and it's a grain of rice. Here's what £1 million looks like. And then it's here's £1 billion.
That is $1 billion, where each grain of rice is worth 100K. Look how much rice this is, guys. That's crazy.
The reason why this 20 billion strong loveliness of ladybirds or ladybugs descended on Britain was partially due to an unseasonably warm winter in 1975, which led to just the perfect conditions for ladybirds to just explode in numbers, by which I mean it just resulted in a lot of aphids, the choice food of ladybirds. But that unseasonably warm winter was followed by a very, very hot summer. And I think the fact that goes around it didn't rain for about 8 to 10 weeks. In some places, it's really difficult to describe how bad things got in Britain during that time. Reservoirs completely dried up. People just could not turn their taps on because there was no water. And it got to the point where a government official actually recommended that people took a bath with their friends.
Oh, wow.
Or their neighbours to save water. And something that always annoys me when we have heat waves in the UK, you always get Americans saying it's not that hot. But they live in a country with ubiquitous, near universal air conditioning in almost every building. Britain does not have that. If it's too hot, the only thing you do is open the window, at which point bugs will fly in. Also,
we have mostly very well insulated buildings because we're used to being cold.
Yeah, it's colder more often than it's warm. And I've always found that frustrating because it's just, it's not that hot. It's yeah, but you can cool yourself down. You can't over here. The only option you have is to open your window, at which point the fucking pterodactyls come in. The thing is, I live on the 10th floor and wasps still get in my house.
Oh, God.
I get pissed off every time. It's what are you doing? There's no flowers up here. What are you doing? And ironically, the heat wave that caused that massive explosion in the population of ladybirds very quickly saw the numbers drop to more manageable levels, just several billion.
Just a little bit.
Because there were so many ladybirds that their food source was nearly entirely depleted in a couple of weeks. But now you've got 20 billion ladybirds that are hungry. About several billion of them died, which resulted in pathways across the UK being just covered in a carpet of dead ladybirds. And roads and stuff. It was said you couldn't go outside because you were just walking through. Do you like leaves in autumn? Yeah. Is that, but it's dead ladybirds.
Oh, God.
And cars and stuff. It's that footage you see the Christmas Island, or the Christmas Island crabs. It's just like a million crabs go across the island. And you have people, houses that are on that island, and they just have to open their front door to let the crabs in, because otherwise they'll just pile up and come through the windows. So they have to open up their door and let the crabs through. And that's just that's so terrifying to me.
Yeah.
You just got to let the crabs in. But as mentioned, although the ladybirds very quickly started to die off, there were still several billion of them looking for food, and they would fly around in giant clouds, several million insects strong, looking for nourishment, which they found in people's eyeballs.
That was way more horrifying than what I thought you were going to say.
Well, that's the thing. Lucas, what do you do when it's hot?
Sweat.
You sweat a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
And what is, in short supply when it's hot?
Water.
A lot, yeah, water.
So they just eat in the water off your body?
Yes. If you went outside, which you're probably going to do because it's hot, you don't want to stay inside, and you start sweating, just thousands of ladybirds would fly at you to drink the water droplets from your skin.
Oh, God.
Constantly.
And then where's the most moist part of your outer body?
Eyeballs, yes. So they would constantly fly at people's eyes to drink their tears. And I'm so happy that this happened because it lets me reference one of my favourite just line reads in a film ever. And it's in Ali G Indahouse.
Okay.
Do you know that bit where like Ali G closes his eyes and just sees like, I think it's like that girl from the Sugar Babes or something like that.
Oh, right, yeah.
And then his girlfriend's like, Ali, stop doing that. And he's like, no, you see, there's these fleas and they go around and they get into your eyes and they're coming in now.
Because there's these fleas that is going around and two of them and they're coming, eyes are coming in again. They're in my eyes.
Just that description is so nice to myself, but it's Ladybirds. So can our editor now edit that scene, just have two cartoonishly large ladybirds fly at Ali G's eyes?
And two of them and they're coming, eyes are coming in again. They're in my eyes.
And it's really hard for me to overstate how much these ladybirds ruined everyone's summer, because almost every facet of summer was ruined by these ladybirds. Like, one, you couldn't go outside.
Well, yeah, that's a kicker, isn't it?
So if you went outside, you'd just be swarmed by hundreds of thousands of them trying to drink your sweat or your tears, or just like fly into your eyeballs, like, you know, like just feast on the gooey nectar within. And you couldn't open your window because they'd fly in, where it's cooler.
Yeah.
Also looking for water and nourishment. And you couldn't go to the beach, because there was thousands of them all dead on the paths.
Even a pandemic didn't stop people going to the beach, Karl.
These ladybirds did. And it was like they were all dead on the beach, in the sand, in the water, because the water would come in and drag them in. So like the water was just covered, caked in ladybirds. You couldn't eat ice cream. Ice cream, which was already in short supply because it was a heat wave, it said you couldn't serve it, because the moment you did, just like the ladybirds would cover it.
I would want to see that, though.
Go.
Just a cone of ladybirds, like, yes.
And you eat its protein that bit. You couldn't swim either, because the few places where you were able to swim outside, like reservoirs and things like that, were just covered in like a several-inch thick layer of ladybirds.
Imagine diving into that.
It'd be awful. It reminds me of that advert for, I think it's cranberry juice, where it's a pool full of cranberries.
It tastes like a fruit stand in every carton. Just, you know, demonstrating how we blend the fruits.
And it looks really refreshing when I imagine those cranberries are ladybirds. And some of them are still alive, and if they land on your skin, they'll try and eat your eyes. Because that's the thing, like, they weren't all dead, some of them were just dying. And if you went in there and they touched you and they, oh wow, there's moisture on this person, they're gonna like just feed on it.
It would be like those scenes with piranhas, wouldn't it? It's like the person jumps through, then on the other side a skeleton emerges.
Well, that scene in The Simpsons, where it's like mayfly season and the guy gets his like hand eaten by all the insects.
Oh, thanks a lot.
So, how did we win the war against the ladybugs, Karl?
We just waited till winter and they died.
Oh, okay.
Because there's nothing you could do.
Yeah.
That's the thing, like you can't spray pesticides or anything like that, because for the most part, ladybirds are actually welcomed like by farmers and stuff like that, because they eat aphids, which are a horrible, horrible pest. Like, the nickname for ladybirds is the gardener's friend.
Oh, right, okay.
They're not the gardener's friend when there's like 800,000 of them, and they're like trying to eat said gardener's eyes. So Britain just basically had to wait out the ladybirds until they all died, and then just scoop them up and just shovel them into like backs of trucks and stuff like that to get rid. And again, I refer to The Simpsons, I often do, of like, do you know when like the lizards take over the town? And like Lisa is asking Principal Skinner, well, what's going to happen when the lizards take over the town? Because, well, we're going to bring in wave after wave of Chinese needle snake. It's like, but then we're overrun by snakes. Well, don't worry, we found a species of gorilla which feeds on snake meat. And it's like, but then we're overrun by, because well, that's the beautiful part, because when winter rolls around, the gorillas all freeze to death. And that's literally what Britain had to do.
Then we're stuck with gorillas.
No, that's the beautiful part. When wintertime rolls around, the gorillas simply freeze to death.
Just wait them out.
Wait them out. Eventually they'll all die.
Yeah.
How apt.
Got a little gorilla next to you, Karl.
I'm doing all right in that one. Actually, I don't think he's doing all right. I've never seen a gorilla that's green.
I'm not sure whether he's going to show up or not. Like, is he is he just invisible?
Is he just this invisible gorilla? If we move him like this, if he is, can we just have this invisible? So now I have like a gorilla cut out in front of me. Just like my face. I didn't even think about that. He's just, I just got it's just a cool like green gorilla. Oh, do you know what the scientific name for a gorilla is?
No.
Gorilla.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what the scientific name for a Western lowland gorilla is?
Is it a Western lowland gorilla?
Gorilla.